This video is going to be divided into 3 chapters about NR format. What is NR format, how it differs from other formats, and some sample deck lists for you guys to net deck and have some fun with. So let's get started with the first one. What even is NR format? NR format was originally a branch off of the TCG's common charity format. By the way, I topped an event in that, consisting of cards in Master Duel that are either N or R rarity, hence the name. I know, very creative. Same typical Master Duel rules apply, best of ones, no side decking, everybody loses brain cells at the end of the day. So now I'm sure you're asking yourself, how exactly does it differ from traditional play? One of the big differences between advanced, common charity, and NR format are the pools of cards that are available to players and the type of gameplay decks are built around. In Advanced, you obviously have every legal card available to you, but the main difference between common charity and NR format is that there are a lot less cards available in NR format relative to common charity and even the Advanced TCG that you just do not have access to. There are a ton of archetypes, staples, and boss monsters with low rarity and common printings in the TCG just because of reprints and the like. However, in Master Duel, most boss monsters and generically powerful cards are SRs and URs. Even generic consistency boosters, cards such as Desires, Tenki, and Upstart are all SRs and URs. This is where the format differs extremely from the other two. If Advanced is a negate fest and Common Charities is a tower/OTK metagame, then NR format is all about resources as a byproduct of your limited card pool. Because of the lack of negates, board building tools, consistency boosters, etc., there is very little space for consistent OTKs and general negation. This means games can get especially long and drawn out, and playing a deck that's consistent, sticky, and powerful is essential to surviving in this format. So let's get talking about these decks. I'm not going to get into every single possible deck, but these are just a few standout stars on my list. Metal Foes is by far and away the best deck on this list. It's consistent since half of the deck is basically just the same card. It's sticky thanks to it being a pendulum deck and having access to comeback tools such as counter and combination, and it's definitely powerful.
Oh yes,
Stevie.
The police might be after him for that vehicular manslaughter. Manslaughter?
Joseph.
I did that shit on purpose.
One of its main weaknesses, however, is filling up the deck list with synergistic playables. There are a lot of great staple cards that are playable in N/R, but one of the biggest problems Metal Foes has in particular is that they need cards in their deck to work in tandem with them. Staples like Torrential, Book, and Chalice are great cards, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to be able to get any of your plays going, and as a result, are really difficult to fit into lists that you want to keep at 40 cards. The best route I personally found is to play it alongside other engines. Originally, I won the first N/R Discord event with True Draco Metal Foes, since the metals could pop the True Draco cards to act as staples if you coped hard enough, and the Draco monsters also had some synergy by being able to tribute summon themselves over set combinations. Magispector Metal Foes is also a really cool variant of the deck. You would use Bunbuku in order to search out a win condition, whether it be QB grabbing Magispector Tempest, a searchable Soul Warning or Strike, or if you were just flat out cheating, you would be searching Kirin, but unfortunately Kirin is banned. It's a cute engine that, although doesn't directly synergize with the deck directly, gives it a cute avenue of play. Most recently, I've been working on this, FA Metal Foes. In the Discord, there's been some suboptimal lists floating around, but the build definitely looked promising, so I decided to take it for a spin, and turns out the bones of something pretty playable are there, as well as something really oppressive, in the form of a Floodgate in Hang On Mac, a one-sided macrocosmos. This will also likely be the deck I'm going to be playing throughout the NR event itself once it drops. Bro, there was so much fucking complaining. It's a fucking deck list, not the second coming of Christ, dude. Shut the fuck. Another deck on the list is Gadget Generator, also known as Gadget Generator. This deck is more akin to a good stuff pile rather than a traditional deck. The Generator field spell is able to get powerful bosses out of the deck, most specifically Utgarda, a terrible ABC Dragon Buster, and the Gadget pile is able to facilitate a rank 4 and 8 line, going into cards such as Malevolent Sin and Gluglion plus Heart Earth Dragon. The main problem? It's bricky as shit. One of the primary problems with pile decks is the amount of garnets they run, as well as their clashing engines, and this is no exception. Dyer's trying to avoid this issue by playing a 60 card variant, but again, consistency issues are something to expect when playing any pile deck, especially this one. And finally, there's Megalith. Megalith is an extremely ritual core of cards whose main game plan is to break boards with the help of Bathor and to go for huge OTK pushes with Phalang. This is achievable thanks to their massively powerful resource generation tools in form of Manju, just their cards overall being the most busted shit I've ever read, and the incantations, whom the majority of are in N/R Rarity. One of the main problems with Megalith was that this deck is very hard. There are a ton of combo lines that exist, and things only get exponentially harder once you factor in disruption. You really have to be on your A game at all times throughout an event, because it is very easy to mess up a combo line, it's very easy to miss out on a couple of key resources you need in order to close out a game. This deck is very difficult in that sort of aspect where you constantly have to be playing optimally, especially throughout a long event. Additionally, this deck has a huge weakness to negation and specific types of removal. Cards such as Kaiju's, Forbidden Chalice, and Torrential Tribute can really put a huge thorn in Megalith players' sides, being that they really do heavily rely on Fool and Bathor in order to clear the way for their own plays. However, this deck, in my opinion, pre-ban list was probably the best deck in NR format. I sure hope nothing changes on March 17th. Yeah, this deck got hit pretty hard on the event festival list. The limiting of Fool and semi-limiting of Bathor really puts a damper on their consistency and repeatability, two things you really do not want to be without in this format. However, I still stand by the idea that Megalith, although much weaker, is still very much a contender within this metagame. And if you've ever wanted a sort of meme dark horse deck, here is Yosenju. This deck is designed to most effectively give your opponent a brain aneurysm. This deck is able to take advantage of some of the most frustrating cards available within the format, most notably the Kaiju's and the Battle Hand Traps, cards such as Battle Fader and Speedroid Menko, and this is a great deck for dealing with unprepared opponents with this weird mix of beatdown and stall. However, because it's very much a meme deck, one of its biggest weaknesses is your opponent knowing what you're up to. If they can sniff out what sort of cards you've likely got in hand based on your plays, you're likely toast, since they're able to construct their plays to play around these cards. That, coupled alongside a really strong weakness to trap cards such as Torrential and the Paleos, alongside not having a particularly strong or any payoff, and you've got a deck that, although has some pretty funny matchups against some of the top decks, it really does struggle against everything else playing generic good stuff pile. Overall, I really feel like NR format is a step in the right direction for Master Duel. One of the biggest issues that I had with Master Duel was how difficult it was to test different decks or to teach people different decks, just because they do not have the UR dust or money to really justify spending on the game. However, because every deck is so extremely cheap, because everybody has like a million NR dust, we are able to playtest with each other, we're able to have a ton of fun with each other, and I get to spend about 5 hours a day disenchanting and re-enchanting just to get that glossy rare. I am very excited for this event. I'm going to be playing a ton of it on stream and in my personal time, and I really hope Konami doesn't drop the ball on this. If you're interested on getting some personal testing or to steal deck lists from, there is a NR Discord linked in the description down below where people have been playtesting and running events. And by events, I mean one event, which I won because I'm the best player on planet Earth. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to comment what sort of decks you're playing and what you feel about the format as a whole. And that's going to be it for me. Later, guys.